Welcome back, everyone, to Grit, Guts, and Gab. Again, the podcast discussing resilience, perseverance, determination, and basically anything else that comes to mind. So what are we talking about today? I'm Tamika.
And I'm Jenny. I thought we could talk about negativity and letting go of negativity, the kind that steals your joy, drains your soul, and really keeps you from stepping into greatness or feeling greatness. So I thought we could talk about letting go of negativity today.
Yeah, I can see that. I definitely probably have some negativity that I need to get rid of, but I feel like sometimes that may be easier said than done. So how do we do this? How do we let go of this negativity?
Well, I think
Well,
first,
first, I guess you got to know what is negativity, because what I think is negative may not be, it may just me be giving advice. Because my mom was the person who would always make suggestions of things that may come across as negative. I feel like in my head, but she would see that as helpful. So, what is actually negativity?
I think, negativity can be in lots of different forms. It can be self doubt. Maybe I have girls who are dancers. I feel like negativity creeps in with their self doubt, like I'm not good enough, or I am this, or I'm not that. There's constant worry. There's a lot of worry. I live in Minnesota, so there is a lot of worry right now. There's emotional exhaustion. I mean, sometimes you're in situations and you're just exhausted from whatever drama is happening. It can even be that little voice that says you can't do this or you're not good enough, or even other people's expectations. Sometimes, people expect crazy things from you and you can't deliver. And then that creates a lot of negativity too.
Yeah, I can. All of those seem like you're hitting the nail on the head here. Uh, but negativity sometimes isn't always loud. Sometimes it's subtle. Maybe it's that Sunday evening anxiety, knowing that you have to go to work Monday morning, or maybe rereading that email that you received and creating your own story. Because without having that context, sometimes we can definitely put our own spin on what is actually being said, and it may not be true at all.
You know, Negativity is very sticky. It really is like one little sentence of negativity can stick with you. Isn't it like two or three positives to every negative?
Mm-hmm.
And so negative is very sticky. So you get one kind of comment that could be perceived in a way, and that can stick with you, or you replay a conversation that you had and all the things that you said wrong. Done that, been there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm maybe doing that right now. What? So, the good news, I guess, is that we can retrain our brains from some of this stickiness and try to do something different. When you said that it takes three positives for every negative, that is something I try to implement in my house. That if I hear somebody saying something bad about themselves, like we talk negative about ourselves a lot sometimes without even realizing it. Man, I'm so dumb, and I'm so stupid. Oh no, now I need three positive things about you. Now, sometimes they try to escape, but I'm a good kid. I grade at school. I'm like, but give me something for real. So sometimes I get real things like I'm a great artist, or I have empathy, or something like that. But I just make sure that people are just being intentional about it, so that we don't just get caught up in the negativity and it takes over your life, it takes over the world. So.
Yeah, sometimes with parenting, it's really easy to be negative too, because you focus in on that one behavior that your kid did wrong, and then you kind of gloss over everything good because
Now
that's
you
the one behavior that annoys you.
That's true. That's true. And You mentioned a lot of things like worry and emotional exhaustion, but let's be real. Sometimes negativity may not always be from inside of us. It can come from your family, your friends, your coworkers, or even the system itself.
Yes.
Who knows?
Yes.
So if we're stretched too thin, they trying to get you to do the work of four different people, or if you're feeling unseen, like I'm doing all this cleaning around the house and nobody's even noticing anything, or just constant change. As we know, as you mentioned in Minnesota, there's constantly something happening over there, and just trying to adjust to that in your environment can be, I'm sure, challenging. And with the email, the whole miscommunication can also cause additional sort of negativity and just taking on other people's stuff. My husband is key of taking on the things that are happening in the world. So if something is happening out here, he's weighing all the other people's, the world's stress is on his shoulders, and that's a lot to bear.
Yeah. And, even like negativity can be like the comparison. Social media can be very harmful. And some people on Facebook put like their glamorous best seconds of life out there, and then you can sometimes can compare yourself like, oh, I'm not this, or I'm not going out enough, or I'm not doing
Mhm.
this, or I don't look like that, or it's like that comparison stuff really can be harmful too. I feel like social media is a total downer these days.
I mean, I know what the intended purpose for it was, but sometimes I do feel like it has gotten away from that.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
So I don't know. What do we do about all that? Like, there's so much negative out there between like social media, the world right now, like,
mhm.
so maybe your work. Lots of companies are having layoffs right now, unfortunately. I think Target even had a huge layoff this past week or last week. So, what do you do with all that negativity?
I mean, sometimes it may not, as we mentioned, it's not always in your head. So just trying to escape the situation may not be possible, because if you're surrounded by your family, they still live here, I guess, and there's a lot of negative energy. Maybe it's the way you engage with that negativity. Maybe like right now, I am trying to accept the fact that my children do things. And I know for the moms out here who probably been running around since your kids were born with 19,000 different activities, this is the first time that my entire calendar for the month is completely filled with things I have to drive my children to. I feel like I need a driver. That's what needs to happen. Maybe that'll help with my negativity. Invest in a driver.
I did
But
have that business idea at one point when I was driving my kids around
okay,
a lot.
you're like, I'll drive your kids. Just sign on. That'll be $40 a week. Okay, I don't know how much. I don't know what a good going rate would be for taking kids somewhere, because it's not realistic. But I just know that it was really affecting me, because I'm like, where's my life? Like, when am I going to have time to breathe, to do anything, to work on grit, guts, and gab? I just, I don't know. Like it, and I think that if I change the way I'm thinking about it. These activities are going to help them, develop the social skills or whatever they need to be better people. Because I'm trying to raise good humans and not necessarily good children. So I think that I'm trying to have a different attitude about it so that I can embrace it and not just have a oh woe is me, because that's 100% the space that I've been in. So this topic is very timely personally for me, because I've been struggling. I have literally been like not wanting to accept this reality.
Well, I'll give you a reframe for
Mm,
your reality is when they turn 16, they will no longer want you around. You don't get to drive them. You don't get to have conversations with them. Like, I really miss car conversations with driving my kids around to all their activities. It's like that one moment in time where they actually will talk to you
because they're trapped in the car.
because they're trapped in the or or it's a time where maybe they're not on their phones as much or
Mhm.
whatever, and it was good conversation time. Now I feel like I have to schedule time, and I don't get to drive them around anywhere, and I miss it.
Yeah,
But
and
on
I
the
guess if they're 16 and they can drive themselves, then you don't get to drive them around, but also because my children are so much younger, they don't have cell phones like that, so it's I
yeah,
guess that is that window once you get past that point that they're now more interested in texting their friends or talking to them or playing games or whatever and not really listening to whatever you want to talk about unless you have a no phone in the car policy. But I don't know that anybody's
no.
doing that.
No, I mean, even if I do drive my kids now, they put in their AirPods and they ignore
And they're
me.
like, you're like, I hear nothing.
Yeah, and I have to like tap them, and they're like, "What?"
So you just said like reframe how I think about it. Are there other examples of how we can reframe how we think about things?
Maybe even if you could be like, I'm only for February is my busy month, and then I'm gonna have a day off, or I'm gonna try to schedule a day off, or like put it so there's only so much, and then it'll be different. I don't know.
I mean, it may be instead of a day, maybe even a moment, an hour, a few minutes. Like, I think just even, I don't know, I know just going for a walk sometimes makes me feel better and about life. And I think it's when those days that I have a full day of doing things for other people, I think I have to be more intentional about carving out at least a moment for myself because there has to be a moment somewhere in there. Even if the moment is while they're in whatever the thing is that they're doing and I'm waiting in the car. Maybe it's listening to a book that I want to listen to or something. Like, I don't know. I am going to be very
Yeah.
intentional about trying to do this, but I know that there are some other practical ways that we can, maybe help someone else do this. So.
During my time of driving, I did go to the gym, or I went for a walk outside, or I watched something on my phone that I didn't normally get a chance to watch, or I went grocery shopping. I mean, I tried to do multitasking so it didn't feel like all I'm doing is sitting and driving my kids around.
Gotcha. Well, I think if I hit the emotional reset button, just say stop and ask, is this something I need to be worried about? Is it my stuff in the first place, or is it somebody else's stuff? Because sometimes we can carry around things that aren't our things, and just because somebody says something about you doesn't make it true, and we can take on that weight as if it's the gospel truth here, and it's not.
Yeah,
So
something else that you can do is sit with that emotion for a little bit of time, not a long time, but like maybe a good minute to 2 minutes. Take some deep breaths, be like, it is what it is, and then let it pass.
mm.
Somebody told me it's pushing it down the river. So a thought comes in and you move it
Yeah.
on down the
Like,
river.
yes, I'm not interested. Keep floating. Thank you. I like that. I like the pushing it down the river. And you already gave me an example of how I can replace sort of the narrative of my situation of, while I have them young, to be able to appreciate those car conversations and not take it for granted.
Hmm.
So,
And then if you do get that feeling, maybe sit with it for a minute because it is true, right? Like
mhm.
sometimes it's okay that we're not out all the time, or you're doing a comparison, or you're not the best employee at work for that given day. Like there are going to be negative times where it's like, okay, yep, that is some negativity. That is what it is. And then push it on down the river.
Yeah, and on that same sort of line, I know I like to journal, but I never thought about perhaps maybe having like a dump journal where I just journal all of the negative, crazy thoughts that are in my head. So they're no longer up here, they're somewhere, but I don't have to keep them anymore. So it's like I'm releasing them to these pages. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a part of my life. And I think that is my maybe I had a gratitude journal, but Maybe I need to have a negativity journal so that he can get all the negativity out of my soul and my spirit.
That's, I would say yes, but don't go back and reread it.
You're like, this
Because the
sucks.
second you go back and reread it, it's gonna
Yeah,
stick in
it
your brain
all come back.
again.
That's
It
true. Yeah,
all
you
gonna
make
come
sure it's
back, and then you're
sticky.
gonna feel it all again, and then it's like, oh, here, have some more negativity with more negativity.
Yeah, yeah, I don't need to relive it. I feel like if I'm gonna let it go, I need to let it go. Maybe I should rip up the pages, be like, I said it, and now it's gone. So maybe it doesn't need to be a journal. Maybe just some loose papers. Be like, yeah,
Crumple
burn
it up
it.
and throw it
Yes,
away.
and then be like, this is you're out of here. Go float down the river. Okay, I'm not putting the
Yeah.
paper in the river, but go down wherever to the
What
garbage.
about people who are kind of negative? What do you do with those? I would say sometimes it's okay to take a break.
Yes, yes. When you're around someone who everything they say is what the what is it the butter but this like everything you say butter this ain't gonna work butter this and butter that like you're like well what about butter no not gonna work and it's like shooting down every idea shooting it down for you like oh okay so you want to say you want to go parasailing well you're afraid of water you don't like heights you're gonna probably be afraid they're gonna have to bring the Coast Guard out to come get you off the boat because you're gonna be so scared. You're gonna shut down the whole excursion for everyone. Like, maybe you don't need to go on the excursion if that's the case. But I think that
Yeah.
just
Or
being
recognizing the anxiety in somebody else. My husband sometimes is a little like that. His family's pretty negative. And
mm,
so, like, sometimes, when you get kind of anxious or when somebody gets kind of anxious, it can kind of
mm,
come out as maybe a little more negative. So maybe looking past what the words are and maybe what the concern is or what they're feeling.
that's true. That's
That
true.
might be helpful.
Yeah. Well, that is a see. Look at you. You're just like a bright light over here, just coming up with all of the good ideas here on how do we replace the negativity. And I know at one point I was trying to do these affirmations, and they were like, think about what you want in life. And just keep thinking about that. Keep focusing on that. Because a lot of times we spend so much time focusing on what we don't have. Like, okay, I wish my bank account was bigger. I'm broke or my wallet's empty instead of saying, I want to walk in wealth or abundance follows me or I'm surrounded by opportunities. Like it's hard to do when you don't really feel that inside, but I do think our words do matter and what we say we manifest in a way like we create what we believe is to be true like we create those opportunities without even thinking about it because we believe that so the same way we could believe something bad I'm gonna watch this car is gonna break down it's not gonna work it's gonna run out of gas the tire's gonna be flat knowing me the alternator's gonna and then all of a sudden all these things start happening and then you're like well why see that's my luck but did you ever think anything positive about the car? Like
Right.
anything? So then it's
Right.
just like that self fulfilling prophecy. Exactly what I said would happen would happen. But are we creating this with our words? I don't know. But I'm willing to take a chance of I don't know the future anyway. I'm not Miss Cleo over here. Call me now. I don't know what it is. So I may as well imagine it great like, instead of imagining the worst. But it's so easy to get caught up in all the negativity that is. It's like negativity is like a magnet. It's like, let me grab you.
Yeah. I saw a really good Facebook post. So I'm going to read it. So I'm going to look
Okay.
away. And I love it because this person always posts like these inspirational things. And
Mm-hmm.
so they posted laziness kills ambition, anger kills wisdom, fear kills dreams, ego kills growth, jealousy kills peace, doubt kills confidence. And it's now read that from right to left, right? So ambition kills laziness, wisdom kills anger, dreams kills fear, growth kills ego, peace kills jealousy, confidence kills doubt. So maybe if you're feeling like all these negative things. Maybe what's the opposite, and then read it from right to left.
Yes, I like
Reframe
that.
that in your brain.
I never thought about the wisdom and anger. I don't know that I would have put those two things together. That's what stood out the most for me. But you're right. If I guess if you're wise, you don't react so quickly. If you had more knowledge about what the real situation is, kind of just like you said, like what's the underlying thing that's behind whatever it is, and maybe not responding with anger or frustration or something like that. I like that. You have to send that to me. I'll have
Yeah.
to reflect on that.
And sometimes, negativity out in the world, it's really hard to control, right? Like you
Mhm.
can't control what the government's doing at this moment or what anything is happening, but you can control your actions and what you do. Maybe I'm going to go grocery shopping tonight for a food shelf, or somebody wrote a little card. They had their little kid write a card that said, I love you, you're an amazing neighbor, and then delivered it out to the
Aw.
neighbors.
That's I like that. That's very kind. I'm sure that probably in some people's world that may be the kindest thing they've heard in a very long time. I do like that. That is
So
I hmm, that's inspirational.
so
I'm
do
like,
what you can in a world of negativity. Do what you can that makes you feel positive.
yeah. And I think that even I mean it's making me feel positive just thinking about that. Just being able to get that little note from someone in the mail. Yeah, or giving it to other people and just knowing that hopefully maybe I made somebody's day. I may not know all my neighbors, but I do think that that would be a nice gesture that I can somehow convince some of my kids to do. Ideas. Plenty of
Mhm.
ideas over here. But I mean, I know, and if negativity comes up for any of you, as she said, just send it down the river. It does happen. It creeps in our lives. It surrounds us everywhere, and we have to be intentional to try to fight against all of the negative energy that is out here. So it's okay for you to be that bright light or bright spot in the world for yourself, for other people, and take a moment for yourself. You don't have to take on all the weight of everyone and accept all the things to be true that are out here to be true.
Yeah, I would say if you feel a lot of negativity, don't give it back. That's not worth it. Friends, neighbors, the world is negative. You don't have to be
Mhm.
negative.
Yeah. When
And
they go low, you don't have to go lower.
that's right. Kids are negative. Like, you don't have to match their negativity.
Somebody once told my husband something that I thought was very wise. We can only control our actions and our attitude. And I think by doing that, maybe can help shield us from some of the negativity. We can't control the constant change. We can't control what other people say or think about us. But we can be more intentional and be kinder to ourselves and maybe not be so negative about just everything. Like I don't look like the Facebook post, the 5 seconds of glory that somebody has filtered and shared. But it's okay. I'm who I am. But, and I love
Yeah.
me.
I like that too. I really think focusing on anything positive about you is amazing. So like I try really hard at the end of the day to be like, you know what? I am a good person. I did do a good job at this. I was kind in this area. So I like to pick out my bright lights at the end of the day to really kind of sink in all of who I am is amazing. And so I don't know. It brushes away the negativity, pushes it on down the river.
Down the river.
So
Well, thank you all. I really appreciate you joining in this episode of Grit, Guts, and Gab. Again, where we're discussing resilience, determination, and perseverance. And please follow us on YouTube, Spotify, anywhere else. It has been a pleasure having you here today. And hopefully you were able to maybe let go of some negativity.
yeah. Have a great day, everyone.
Yes. Until next time.
Bye.